Hey guys, how's it going? I hope you're all doing great. As I always say, happy, healthy, and hydrated, the three H's. I hope you had a good Christmas, good holiday, and a good New Year's. Tell me how you rang in the new year, I'm kinda curious. And when you're done doing that, you can pull up a stump for these stories that I found. Some of them were recorded before I got this new mic, so they might sound a little different, but I still enjoyed the story, so I hope you do too. Leave a comment and say which one was your favorite one. Anyways, let's jump into it, and thank you for watching. So this happened during the summer of 2003. At the time, I was only around 9 years old, and my parents bought a house in Italy. It was a small, cute, and safe little town that was near a lake, and at night I used to sit on some rocks and look out at the water. And one night while doing this, I see a white figure dancing above the water. It looks human, but I can't figure out much about it, so I get like a little scared being a 9-year-old and I just run away. I tell my parents about it, but they don't believe me. So the next night, I go back and I try to see if I can find the figure again, and nothing. I keep doing this for around 3 weeks or so, and eventually I see it again. This time it's swimming. I get closer and try to speak with it. It looks at me and just stares, and it fades away into nothing. I continue doing the same thing as I did before for a few days. While looking at the lake, I feel something touching me. Behind me, it's the white figure. It's around 2 meters tall, unisex and glowing. No eyes, no features. I am spooked as hell, but somehow I feel like it won't hurt me and I just feel calm. I sit back down on the rock and it sits right next to me. It does nothing but look at the lake and then look at me. Eventually I just start talking to it just about random things while it looks at me. It doesn't say anything back to me or do anything, but it just sits there and listens to me. Eventually I leave as I was getting really tired. It keeps just looking at me even when I'm walking away. The next night, the same thing happens. I just talk to it, and I do this for around 2 months or so. Eventually, I have to leave the town. The last night in the town, I tell it that I must leave and that I hope to see it again someday. It gets up and starts to dance on the water again. It keeps dancing until it fades away. I say goodbye to it, and I can feel this sadness but also gratitude coming from it. On my way back home, I end up meeting up with an old lady, and she tells me that it's nice what I did, talking to it. I'm surprised, and I asked her about what she means. She told me that she can also see it, and that she saw me every night talking to it. She believes that it's a benevolent spirit that is just watching and mimicking what other people do. It saw people dance, so it tried to dance. It saw people swim, so it tried to swim, etc. I returned after a year, but I didn't encounter it ever again. I'm glad I was able to meet it, whatever it was. I go for walks almost every day at this park that's by my house, and I've done this for years, really. There's a bayou that runs along a portion of the track as well. Across the bayou are these apartments that are for lower income folks. It started as for working class or blue collar people, but over time you started to see shadier and shadier characters there. So they were kind of going downhill. A couple of years back, I began to find dead animals off the side of the track near the bayou by the apartments. At first I thought this was just a coincidence because it is a bayou after all. But after the first two, I started to take pictures because I realized that they were kind of odd. The animals were usually squirrels and frogs, and they always were the same. The eyes had apparently been removed, or they might have been eaten, I don't know, and grass had been shoved down their throats. There was weird symbols always spray painted nearby. I never really connected this to the shady characters I started seeing until one day I took a different route into town because I had to stop for gas, so I cut through this neighborhood that I don't usually drive through. The neighborhood is very secluded because it's kind of like a maze and it's in a bad part of town. I was surprised to find a dead dog on the side of the road. It had no eyes, and there was grass sticking out of its mouth. The stop sign is totally painted over in black, and the same symbols that I saw next to the dead frog or squirrels are painted on the fence. Across from this is a giant wooden fence, and the same symbols are spray painted over there as well. I spot dead frogs and squirrels in random spots as I drive, and I just kinda nope the hell out of there. Is there any ideas what this is? I don't know, it seems like it could be some kind of intimidation thing by a gang, but part of me wonders if there's some cult or something taking over my town. I have this one experience from my trip to Norway. My cousin married this man, let's call him Dag, and she moved to Norway with him. He's a nephrologist, and my cousin is in pediatrics, and she researches a lot, so they're obviously both loaded. They have this huge house on the countryside, beautiful scenery, and a great climate, and together they adopted a little girl who was 4 years old. Since I missed their wedding reception due to some health complications, they offered me to come visit with my mom and brother, and these guys even paid for the tickets, so you can tell how rich they are. I basically ended up spending almost 4 weeks in this mansion or cabin in the woods, and it was awesome most of the time, right up until we had this incident with their adopted daughter. We were outside, and winter was getting a little too chilly, but nothing out of the ordinary. The girl, let's call her Anna, is playing inside in front of this big crystal slide door. Dag and I watch her as we cut wood, and my mom's in the kitchen. It literally happened in seconds. We turned to put the wood in the cart, and we turned back, and Anna was gone. Dag is weirded out but calm. He figures that she just went into a different room in the house. So we go inside and there's no sign of her, and I doubt she moves that fast. She's 4, so I start to feel really panicked. My mom is in the kitchen staring through the window. I say, "Mom, have you seen Anna?" She literally flinches like I scared her even though I approached her from the side. She immediately panics too and goes to the basement to look. Dag is upstairs. I go to look outside when I discover the slide door is now wide open. And I'm like, oh no, oh no, 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 no. I scream for Dag and my mom. Both my brother and my cousin are in town, so we call them as well. Dag and my cousin are in tears as they call their neighbors and the police to inform them. My mom is freaking out too. Eventually, a search takes place and the police take our statements and everything. And we're talking about a 4-year-old girl without any proper winter clothing walking around in what is soon to be a snowstorm, so of course we're scared to death. We spent all night off looking for Anna in the forest with the help of police, and my mom keeps bawling her eyes out. It's 4 a.m., my fingers are frozen. Dag has this sunken reddish look on his face, and I could tell he was thinking what I'm thinking. Suddenly, our neighbor screams for us and we hear crying, and then we see him coming out with Anna on his arms. We've never been so relieved in our entire lives. Dag is praying and thanking God and thanking the neighbor while the cousin holds her child. So, what's the creepy part of this story? It took me a few days to realize because at the time I was too busy tending to my family to notice. Anna wasn't cold. She wasn't even shivering when we found her, and she had only had a jacket on. She was wearing only socks, no shoes and no gloves, and she wasn't crying. Anna's a smart girl, yet when she talked to us, she looked like she was having issues forming easy sentences, and these are sentences that I had heard her speak earlier in the day. I vividly remember thinking of this in bed at like 10 p.m., one day or before Mom or my brother and I had to leave. I felt unnerved for some reason, and I went to talk with my cousin about it. And she said this is probably due to trauma. Stunted speech is a normal reaction. And then I said, well, why isn't she sick? It was freezing out there. How did she even survive? My cousin gives me a confused and then angry look and basically shouts at me, asking if I'd rather have her dead instead. I back up a bit, honestly shocked that she reacted that way, but I start feeling guilty and I apologize. I don't even bother to mention this to Dag anyways. We say our goodbyes, the two thanks us for being there to help, and we all cry some more with each other. We go to say goodbye to Anna, and she's like chewing on a pine cone, giving that empty toddler stare, always staring directly at me. And I think, okay, that's a little creepy. So fast forward a couple of months, life is normal. Dig and my cousin are sending pictures to the family group chat of their Christmas decor, their daughter and their little Christmas outfits and whatnot. I send them good wishes, and not 10 minutes afterwards, Dig sends me a DM, which is weird because we've never talked that way. We exchange pleasantries, blah blah. Whole time feels like the typical forced convo when someone wants to say something. He says, hey, I heard that you had a conversation with the guy's cousin that really upset her. Can you tell me what it was? And I think, oh great, I'm gonna get cussed out by him too. So I tell him anyways. I spent a solid 5 minutes watching the little typing dots at the bottom of the screen move and disappear, and then it says, it's okay, just checking if you two are fine now. And I'm thinking, he is so full of crap. He then proceeds to tell me that Anna picked up a hazelnut from the ground and ate it the other day. I immediately asked if she's okay, because I know that Anna had quite a few nut-related allergies. My mom gave us the specifics since we were going to bring snacks and whatnot for the trip there. And he says she's fine. There's no swelling, there's no rashes or anything. And I said, oh well, that's great. And once more he spends a few minutes typing, only to come back with, just wanted to catch up with you. Thanks a lot for your help. Sorry about the fight. We were all just scared. Your cousin won't leave Anna's side now. The whole interaction is awkward and I leave it at that. Later that same night, I'm brushing my teeth in my room and I swear I could hear a child's laughter, and it scared me so bad that I screamed a bit. So I ended up sleeping with the lights on and the door closed that night. That's about it. I'm confident something bad happened to Anna in those woods. Me and my cousin haven't been talking as much since then, which is weird because we were always really close since childhood. And Dave constantly invites me over, but I don't feel like going, and I feel guilty about having these thoughts. So a little while ago, I think I saw my boss's fetch before he died. It was this really long day at work. So after work, I decided to relax by dropping into my local Chili's on my way home for a burger and a beer. So I'm chowing down on my burger when I notice my boss sitting a few seats down the bar. The bar is a horseshoe shaped, so he was sort of facing me. He looks really weird, but I can't pinpoint why. He's normally very well put together in a suit, and he keeps his hair short and neat and kinda slicked back, but now he looks a bit disheveled. I hate this guy, by the way, so I'm dreading going over and making small talk, but the entire time I'm talking to him, he just stares down at the bar and never makes eye contact with me. The bartender ignores him like he isn't even there, and eventually I just go back to my food. I look back at some point and he's just gone, and I figure it's because the bartender ignored him or whatever. So I pay my tab and I leave. And the next day I try to bring it up to my boss, but he insists that he worked late and he, quote, doesn't eat at low income places like that. And I think, what a dick. Anyway, like a week or so later, he ended up actually dropping dead from a heart attack. Now, he could have been lying to me about going to Chili's, but When I thought about it later, I realized just how weird he looked. Almost frail and totally not there mentally. So I know this guy or girl calls it a fetch, but in my area we call them forerunners, and I've never seen one, but I know people who have. Like for instance, I know a woman from the next community over who I think their uncle was in the hospital with like some severe heart issues or whatever, and he was basically dying, like he was on death's door. And she goes out for a walk to clear her head, and while she's walking down the street, she sees her uncle in his truck throwing up a big wave to her, looking all happy and stuff, and she waves back, like kind of not really sure how to react because she knows that he's in the city and he's in the hospital and he's like hooked up to machines and stuff. And like an hour later, she gets a call from somebody else and they ask her if she's seen him out by the gas station driving around. And she's like, yes, I did. Like, did you see him too? And they were like, I thought that was him, but I thought he was in the hospital. So they get talking and they talk just about how weird it was. And then like the next day, she gets a call from other family who says like, oh, I'm really sorry to tell you, but uncle, whatever his name was, passed away tonight. Just figured we'd let you know and all that stuff so we can make preparations. And she was really taken back by this because she knew he was in the hospital. She knew that he was like on death's door and stuff, but her and somebody else, they're all related, saw her uncle just drive by in his truck as if he always would and if he was fine. But yeah, I like stories like that, so let me know if anything like that happened to you. So, what did you think of all those stories? Do you think they were real, or do you think they were all fake? Let me know down in the comments. And don't forget to tell me how your new year went and all that good stuff. So yeah, let me know what kind of stories or what kind of videos you want to see in the new year. And yeah, I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for always pulling up a stump. Thank you for the support. And I will see you in the next one. Happy New Year.